I thought I needed them more than they needed me. They actually need us, the real estate investor, to borrow that money more than we need them. And here's why. There's more money than there are deals. There's more money than there are deals out there. Prior to COVID, there was $18 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines. This side of COVID, there's $31 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou. And boy, do we have an exciting guest lined up for you today. Today's guest is a dear friend of a dear friend. He is a true global thought leader when it comes to investing in real estate. I am speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Jay Conner. Welcome to the show, Jay.
My lands, Nikki, what an introduction, for goodness sakes. Thank you so much for inviting me to come along and be on your show. I hope we get to talk a little bit about private money, because that's what I'm so passionate about. That's had the biggest impact on my real estate investing business, but I'm excited to be here, Nikki, to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Love it. So, Jay, this podcast is dedicated to the freedom-loving men and women who dare to dream and go after their dreams through the incredible vehicle of entrepreneurship and the free enterprise system. And they listen to this podcast because they want to learn. Not from me. I'm here every week. They want to learn from you. But before they can open themselves up to you, they got to get to know you. They got to get to like you, and they got to get to trust you. So tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Jay Conner?
Well, thank you so much, Nikki. Well, I was raised here in Eastern North Carolina, in case nobody's picked up on that accent yet. So I was born here, raised here in a little small town, Morehead City, in North Carolina, and met my wife, Carol Joy, out in Texas, Wichita Falls, Texas. We've been dating for 40 years. We happen to have been married 38 years of those 40 years. But anyway, I was raised, Nikki, in the mobile home business. My dad had the largest retailing company in the nation of mobile homes, manufactured housing. And so I was raised around this world of helping families own an affordable house. Well, unfortunately, Wall Street fell out of favor with that industry in the early 2000s, and that's when I started investing in single-family houses in 2003. So we've been full-time investing in single-family houses. I've flipped and rehabbed over 500 of those so far. And from 2003, when I started, until January of 2009, the only thing I knew to do, Nikki, to get my real estate deals funded was go to the local bank and get on my hands and knees and beg and show my financial statements and have my credit score pulled and all that kind of stuff. Well, that worked out okay for the first 6 years until January 2009. I called up my banker. I had 2 deals under contract to purchase, and I learned like that over the telephone that my line of credit had been closed with no notice to me. Whoa. Well, my definition of coincidence is God's way of staying anonymous. In less than 2 weeks, I learned about this world of private money for real estate. And I'm not talking hard money or hard money lenders. I'm talking about doing business with ordinary people, just like you and me, that loan out their money to real estate investors for funding of deals, either from their investment capital and or their retirement funds. So I put on my teacher hat, Nikki. I put on my teacher hat, and I started teaching people. It says private money teacher.
I started
teaching people what this world of private money is about and how ordinary people could earn high rates of return safely and securely. So I was able to raise a little over $2 million in less than 90 days of new funding that I didn't have. And what's interesting, Nikki, not one of those 47 individuals that ever heard about private money. They never heard about it, never heard about self-directed IRAs until I put on my teacher hat and I exposed them to this world. And since that time, Nikki, January 2009, I've never missed out on a real estate deal for not having the funding. And what's beautiful is in this world, we are our own underwriter. We, the borrower, are our own underwriter. You know, the traditional way to borrow money is you go to the person or the institution that's got the money and they make the rules. That's traditional thinking, but I put that upside down. I now, instead of asking for a mortgage, I offer a mortgage on my own terms.
I like it. So the bank said, nope, line of credit's gone. Forget it. We're not going to fund your deal. One door closes, the good Lord opens up the second door, and you learn about private money. So walk us through that first private money deal, that first private money aha moment. Tell us that story.
Wow. Well, it was at 7:30 at night on a Wednesday night here in Morehead City, right after I'd put my program together that I was going to offer the opportunity. And so my wife, Carol Joy, and I, we've been very active members at the Morehead City Church of Christ here on Barber Road in Morehead City. And so I walked in on a Wednesday night in the foyer, and I was looking for a gentleman named Wayne. Wayne and I had known each other for a number of years. And so I walked up to Wayne and I said, Wayne, if you got a few minutes, I'd like to visit with you about something confidential when we finish Bible study. He said, well, sure, Brother Jay. So we had Bible study. We got together afterwards. We walked down to the nursery. I closed the door. Here's exactly what I said to Wayne. And this is an example of how I've got $8.5 million in private money right now that I move from project to project. And I've never asked anybody for money. I've never pitched a deal. So here's how the conversation went. I looked at Wayne and I said, Wayne, you know everybody in this town. And he did. He was the original Zenith television dealer in Morehead City, North Carolina. And if you don't know who the Zenith television dealer is or was, that means you're too young to remember life before Walmart came to town. That's where you got your TVs. So Wayne knew everybody, and he had pretty much put a TV in everybody's house here in our area. So I told Wayne, I said, Wayne, you know everybody in this town, and I need your help. Oh boy, is that a magic phrase right there? I said, Wayne, I need your help. I said, you see, I've now opened up my real estate investing business by referral only. And I'm now paying insane high rates of return. So when you run across somebody that's complaining about the money they're making in a local CD in the bank or the volatility of the stock market, would you refer them to me and I'll tell them about my opportunity I have for people to invest in our deals? Wayne looked at me and he says, well, now, Brother Jay, what you got going on there? And I said, well, are you saying that you might be interested yourself? He said, well, I might be. And I said, well, why is that? He said, well, we're only earning a little bit of money in the local bank, and we're losing money in the stock market. He said, what kind of interest rate are you paying, Jay? And I said, well, that sort of depends on the deal. I said, what sounds high to you? He said, well, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6%. I said, Wayne, I can't pay you 5 or 6%, but I can pay you 8%. He said, put me down for $250,000. So the next afternoon, on Thursday afternoon, I went to Wayne and his wife's home, and I put on my teacher hat when I got there, and I taught them about this world of private money and private lending that they'd never heard about. They had just been investing in the stock market, losing money, had their money in the local certificate of deposit. And you know what, Nikki, after 2 cups of coffee on that Thursday afternoon, that $250,000 became $500,000 that they wanted to invest. Now, let's not miss out on something very, very important. I didn't talk any deals. I didn't pitch any deals. I just talked about the opportunity and how the program works. You know, Nikki, so many gurus that teach real estate investors say, oh, just get the deal under contract. The money will show up. That's the most stupid thing I ever heard in my life. Where's the money going to show up? Is it going to rain out of clouds? No. So I teach and I practice get the money lined up first. There's always deals. There's always going to be deals. And then when you've got a deal for your private lender to fund, you still don't have to ask. You still don't have to pitch. You simply make the deal available and they're ready to fund it. I want to share this with you, Nikki. I'm going to turn it back to you. I want to share with you and your audience the exact script that I use and say when I've got a deal for my private lender to fund. The best way I can, without asking for money. And the best way that I can illustrate this is to do just a little bit of role play here with you. So let me do the setup. Let's say you and I have been friends for some time. We've got a relationship. Maybe we go to church together. And let's say I've told you and exposed you to this opportunity of being a private lender. And let's also assume you like the program. You like the 8% that I pay. I've been paying 8% to my private lenders since January 2009. You like that. You like how you're protected. You know, I'm going to give you a deed of trust or a mortgage and collateralize your note, protect you. And you like all that. And let's also assume that you've got a $150,000 401k retirement fund at a previous employer that's still in the stock market, and you're sick and tired of the volatility. And let's also assume I've introduced you to a self-directed IRA company that you've moved that money over to, and now you're waiting for me to put your money to work. Here's the exact script. Here's the exact phone call and how the conversation goes. I call you up, you answer the phone, we have a little chit chat, and then here's exactly what I say. I say, Nikki, I've got great news. I can now put your money to work. I've got a house under contract in Newport, North Carolina, with an after repaired value of $200,000. Now, the funding required for the deal is $150,000. That matches up to what you've got in your retirement account. Now, the closing is going to take place next Friday. I'll need for you to wire your funds from your retirement account to my real estate attorney's trust account by 1 week from today, next Thursday. I'm going to have my real estate attorney email you the wiring instructions. That's the end of the conversation. The most stupid thing I could do is ask you, do you want to fund the deal? Of course you want to fund the deal for 3 big reasons. Number one, you want to fund my deal because you trusted me to move your retirement funds over to the self-directed IRA company. The second reason you want to fund my deal is because you know I'm not going to bring you a deal to fund unless it matches the criteria and the underwriting that I already taught you. Did you hear the numbers? After repaired value, $200,000. Funding's $150,000. That's 75% of the after repaired value. You already know all that stuff because I taught it to you. And the third big reason that Nikki wants to fund my deal is because he's not making any money until I put his money to work and invest his money. So I'm ethically bound to invest Nikki's money. To unpack the big takeaway from that, separate the conversation with a new potential private lender of teaching the opportunity and then having a deal to fund, because desperation has got a smell to it. The worst time to be raising private money is when you need it for a deal. So get the money raised first, then put their money to work for them.
That seems very smart. Very, very, very smart. Because, you know, desperation doesn't work in any sales or business situation. When someone feels you're desperate for a commission, you're desperate for a sale, you're desperate for a deal, you reek of it. That desperation comes off your pores. And desperation is not attractor energy, it's repeller energy, right?
Absolutely. I never heard it put like that. My land's Nikki. I've been a guest on over 800 podcasts talking about private money, but you nailed it on the head when you just said that.
Yeah. So, Jay, How big an opportunity is this for people in real estate?
Well, it's a huge opportunity, particularly in this market. For one, lenders are tight. And by the way, when I talk about private money, I'm talking about doing business with just ordinary people. This is not hard money. So hard money is institutional money. Hard money is when a hard money lender goes out and raises money from individuals that invest in their fund. And then the hard money lender turns around and lends that out. This is not hard money. Now, there's 20 reasons why I love private money, but just to name a few, number one, this is such a big opportunity because there's no limit to the number of private lenders you can have. When I was borrowing money from the banks, I had a limit to my line of credit. There's no limit to the amount of private money you can have, for you to use. You can borrow across state lines because we're not regulated by the Commissioner of Banks. Private money fixes your cash flow because when you use private money the way I do, you always bring home a big check when you buy the property. Wow. How does that work? Well, obviously, you're going to borrow more than you need to do the deal. But for those numbers to work, you got to be buying the property at a discount. So we always bring home a big check. Private money fixes your cash flow problems. Your credit score's got nothing to do with how much private money you can have. None of my private lenders ever asked to see my credit report because they're individuals. They're just ordinary human beings. So when you start using private money, it really takes the handcuffs off of what you can do. You can scale your business, and you never have to worry about seeing deals fly by and other real estate investors stealing your deals from you.
So private money is, let's say you've raised $10 million. That money doesn't start accruing interest for the person that you've raised it from until you fund the deal, correct?
Correct. I'm only paying interest on the money while I'm using it on a deal.
So how does the process work then? So let's say you come to me and I say, okay, Jay, here's $200,000. Do I sign some paperwork with you saying that I'm going to fund the deal? Like, how does it all work?
It's a verbal pledge. So you simply tell me how much you like. First of all, I teach you the program, teach you the opportunity, how it works, how you're protected. And then you tell me how much you've got to work with. If it's retirement funds that you're wanting to use, then I'll introduce you to a self-directed IRA company I recommend, and they will assist in moving your current retirement funds over to their management company. Or if you've just got liquid investment capital, then, you just tell me how much you got to work with. And then it's my responsibility to find a deal for you to fund just as soon as possible. And then I call you up with the good news fund call. You fund the deal, and I start paying or accruing interest from the time we close on that deal. And then when we sell that property or cash out on it, I'll pay you off in totality the principal loan amount, because I don't pay principal and interest payments because you don't make as much money as a lender. When I'm only accruing or paying interest only payments, you make more money because I'm not paying down your principal loan amount. Your full amount stays invested the entire time. And so when I cash out, I'm either going to pay you off and they go find you another deal as soon as possible to invest in and loan money on. Or if I have another deal ready to go within the next 7 days, then I've done a lot of what's called substitutions of collateral. And that is exactly what it sounds like. We keep your promissory note open and you don't lose any interest. And we just change the property that is collateralizing the note. And your real estate attorney takes care of that. It's also known as a loan modification. That's a loan modification. A substitute collateral is a type of a loan modification. And then you just keep earning interest on that until that one cashes out.
So people hear this, they're excited to do it, they want to do it. What kind of person wants to invest in private money deals?
A person that is sick and tired of a little bit of interest that they're getting in the local bank, or they are sick and tired of the volatility of the stock market going up, going down. That's one thing our private lenders absolutely love, is that the principal loan amount remains the same until the end. It's just like them putting money in a local certificate of deposit, because they know they're going to get a straight 8% APR return on that. So, and all these ordinary people, I've got retired school teachers that are private lenders. I've got retired law enforcement officers. I've got people that have retired from the military. And then I got a bunch of people that are still working that have investment capital. I have an architect from Texas that has over $1 million with me. I've actually had minor children under 18 years old be private lenders because they inherited money from grandparents and their parents wanted them to get a good return on their money. So these are ordinary people in all walks of life that are looking for a safe, reliable rate of return with low risk.
So it sounds to me like most of these folks are retired or close to retired, although obviously there are exceptions to that, like these minor children that you talked about. But it seems to me it's folks that are not looking to put their capital at huge risk. So they don't want to invest in the next tech growth stock, which could go high, but it could also crash. It's somebody whose interest in understanding finance is limited. They want to just find somebody who can give them a good, reliable, as you say, safe rate of return, and someone they can trust. Is that
You
about
summed
correct?
it. You summed it up, Nikki.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds super, super interesting. Like if I'm at a retirement stage in my life and I have $10 million in capital and I don't want to invest in anything risky, if I could put $10 million to work and it returns $800,000 a year, that's a wonderful living for quite some time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I like it, Jay. I like it. So tell us a couple stories.
Well, what kind of story you want to hear?
Stories of people you've worked and what you've helped them do. I mean, those are the best kind. That's the kind that gets people to relate to.
Yeah. Well, as you asked that question, I'm reminded that, you see, when I first started out raising capital from these people, I thought I needed them more than they needed me. And what turned out that I learned very, very quickly is the opposite is true. They actually need us, the real estate investor, to borrow that money more than we need them. And here's why. There's more money than there are deals. There's more money than there are deals out there. Prior to COVID, there was $18 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines.
Wow.
This side of COVID, there's $31 trillion in cash sitting on the sidelines. So one story that comes to mind about our private lenders, I'm thinking about one of my private lenders whose name is Ray. Ray is retired from civil service. For over 30 years, he worked at Cherry Point, North Carolina, at the Cherry Point Naval Air Station, which is one of the largest naval air stations. We've got the Marine Corps there. And so he worked there, he retired. Well, he had an annuity that a relative of his had talked him into doing. And that annuity earned him only 3% over 8 years. I don't mean 3% per year. I mean 3% over 8 years.
Whoa.
So he came to me. He says, Jay, this annuity's coming due, and what should I do with it? I said, well, you should invest it with me is what you should do with it. And so I taught him the private lending program, the opportunity, and how he's protected and the 8% he would get. So when Ray started investing and loaning that money on our real estate deals, he hasn't earned 3% over 8 years. Since he came on with us about 8 years ago, his retirement fund has tripled in those 8 years. So our private lenders absolutely love the program. They know exactly what to expect, what the rate of return is going to be. And the older our private lenders are, the more they like it. Because in contrast to the stock market, the older you get, the less time you've got to live through another correction in the stock market. So the older our private lenders are, the more conservative they are. They're looking for low risk. And many private lenders like Ray that I just shared, they love watching their retirement funds grow safely and securely very quickly.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So you've obviously been plying your trade in the United States. Is there any reason this can't work in places like Canada, Australia, the UK?
Sure, it's the same principles. I mean, wherever people's got money and where people want to borrow money, there's the private lending world. Of course, up in Canada, when it comes to retirement funds, they don't call it self-directed IRAs. They call it, tell us, Niggy, what do they call it up there in Canada?
RRSPs, Registered Retirement Savings Plans.
Same thing, same exact thing. So yes, I've got members of my Private Money Academy membership that are Canadians as well, and same concept. I mean, in fact, you can borrow private money internationally. I know some folks that are private lenders that are wiring funds over here to the United States and are private lenders, and they don't even live here in the U.S. So anywhere people have money that need to borrow money, there's a match.
Amen, man. Amen. So, Jay, I like what you're doing. It's simple. It's powerful. It's one of those businesses that maybe isn't the sexiest business in the world, but it just keeps earning money reliably, repeatably, consistently. I like it. I do.
Awesome.
I've got a couple other podcasters I'm going to send you to because I think they're going to really like what you have to say. And I think that you are going to enjoy meeting them because they've got audiences that are potentially interested in what you have to talk about. So, Jay, if someone wants to find out about you, your work, what's the best way?
Absolutely. Well, I actually have 2 free gifts for your audience, Nikki. One is my book, which is called Where to Get the Money Now. Where to Get the Money Now. And the subtitle is How and Where to Get Money for Your Real Estate Deals Without Relying on Traditional or Hard Money Lenders. And I'll autograph the book and I will send it out priority mail. The book is free. It's $20 on Amazon. Don't spend $20 on Amazon. The book is free when you get it from me. Just covers shipping. You can pick up the book at www.jayconner, and I'm an ER, not an OR, so www.jayconner.com/book. Again, that's jayconner.com/book. And if you would like to get something even quicker than that, then I have an ebook that you can download for free. And here's the ebook. It's called 7 Reasons Why Private Money Will Skyrocket Your Real Estate Business and Help You Build Incredible Wealth. You can download the free ebook at jayconner.com/money guide. Jayconner, JAYCONNER.com/money guide. And that'll download right there on your phone or to your laptop. And of course, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you want to learn even more about private money, I'm in my 8th year of podcasting, and come over and check out my podcast. The name of it is Raising Private Money. Imagine that.
Nice.
Raising Private Money with Jay Conner, and it's on all the podcast platforms, easy to find. And twice a week, I interview other real estate investors that raise private money, and I interview them as to how they go about getting private money for their real estate deals.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Jay, I really enjoyed having you on the show. Before we let you go, we ask you as our guest expert, what are your top 3 expert action steps? These are your 3 best pieces of advice in truth quickly bullet point form to help my listener take his or her success to the next level. What say you?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is surround yourself with like-minded people that are working on accomplishing what you want to accomplish. So Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, he coined the word or phrase mastermind.
Mastermind.
Mastermind. So a big part of my success has been I've been an active member for years in multiple mastermind groups that I'm able to serve, I'm able to give back, and I learn from them. Being a mastermind member is just about as much about giving as it is receiving. So surround yourself with like-minded people. That's the first thing that comes to mind. You're not created to be on an island by yourself. So don't make the mistake I did for the first 6 years where I tried to navigate this business without being involved in such as a mastermind. Now, the second thing that comes to mind is I believe that your destiny is determined by the people you meet and the books you read.
Charlie Jones.
That's him. That's him. And so successful entrepreneurs have got childlike curiosity. Their appetite is unsatiable. It can't be fulfilled because we want to learn. We want to learn. So what kind of books are you reading? Well, one book that I would recommend highly is by my friend Jack Canfield, co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And his book just surpassed its 10th anniversary. It's called The Success Principles.
Great book.
The Success Principles. In fact, the 10th anniversary edition was now released. I think it came out last year. And I love the book. The chapter, there's 65 success principles. And I highly recommend that book. And then the third action principle to be a successful entrepreneur, and I tell you, Nikki, there's so many of them. But the third principle, in addition to mastermind, the books you read, and that is your health, the sleep you get, the rest you get. What are you eating? So one thing that I started practicing a few months ago is immediately when I get up, within 5 minutes, I've got my 16 ounces of water with a Himalayan salt in it. And I put on my shorts and my t-shirt and I get outside. Your circadian rhythm is so important to get you going to sleep at night and waking up without an alarm clock. And so you want to be outside for 10 minutes and let the natural light actually get in your eyeballs. That automatically sets your circadian rhythm so that when it's time to go to bed, you fall asleep right away. You rest all night when it's time to get up. Take care of your health because that's the most valuable asset you got.
Yeah, these are 3 great expert action steps. Funny, I'm going to be with Jack July 22nd through 27th at his Transformational Leadership Council. I've been invited to be a speaker there. Before you and I spoke, I was working on my speech. So
that's amazing. Well, you see, Nikki, I believe we attract people in our lives that are like ourselves. I don't know who in the world came up with opposites attract. That's the most stupid thing I ever heard in my life. And so here you are, you're doing success principles. You know all about masterminds. And there we go, Jack Canfield, another commonality we have.
That's my favorite book of his. He actually signed it for me because my good buddy Raymond Aaron brought him to Toronto when he wrote that book, and he did a talk to the mastermind that I was a part of that Raymond ran at that time. And Jack's a great guy. I've interviewed him on the podcast actually, and I'm super excited. Super excited.
I'm excited for you. I was blessed. I became a certified Jack Canfield trainer about 8 years ago for his Breakthrough to Success seminar.
I love it. Jack's a great guy. So, Jay, we're going to make sure we put all this in the show notes. I really enjoyed having you on the show. You're awesome, buddy. You bring a powerful, beautiful energy to every conversation. You and I've had a conversation before this podcast, and I felt really, really good about that conversation. I feel really good about this conversation. Listener, Jay Connor's the real deal. take advantage of his offer to sign a book for you. I think that's fantastic. Be a bibliophile, be a lover of books, get yourself a signed copy of a book from a true master. I think this is phenomenal. And if what he's had to say about learning about private capital and how to raise it has resonated with you, go check out his work. It just might be that the time is now for you to learn how to raise private capital. That's a good skill to have. It's a good skill to have. Hunting, fishing, building a cabin, and raising money. Those are all super fantastic skills for you to have. And if you've got a friend who needs the message that Jay brings or just needs his positivity and his love for his fellow man, then share this episode with them. And do me a favor, give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review, because what that does is that helps us with the algorithm. And Jay, please give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review. We ask all our guests to do this too. If you enjoyed this conversation, go say that he's a great host on Apple. I'd love to see you do that. And please come back. Love to continue the discussion with you another time.
Nicky, thank you so much for having me. God bless you.
God bless you. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about today's amazing guest, the one and only Jay Conner, go to the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or wherever you happen to listen to this episode, be it iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, Rumble, or what have you. Until next time, goodbye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.